Today on Steve's Makerspace, we're learning the secret of the quarter challenge and all sorts of other cool stuff about Challenge Mode Builder. Hi everybody, Steve from Steve's Makerspace, and today we are back in Scrap Mechanic, back in the Challenge Mode Builder, doing experiments. This is part 2 of 2 videos. If you haven't seen part 1, go check that out. I think it's very interesting, and one of the things we're going to be looking at is the Quarters Challenge Level 5. How was that done? It really sparked my curiosity and got me doing these experiments, and I'm pretty sure I figured out how it was done, so you'll see that in this video and a bunch of other stuff. So let's get into part 2 of the experiments with the Challenge Mode Builder. Let's start our experiment by looking at the goal platform. Connect an input to set a win condition, connect outputs to trigger celebration events. So if we get out our connection tool, okay, we see that there's this spot in the middle. I've just put a switch over here, and I'm going to connect my switch to the whatever that is connection in the middle of the goal platform. And now the switch is controlling the on and off of the goal outline. So now you've set something up where the player can't just put their vehicle or their seat into the goal area. They also have to have some sort of achievement where an on state creates the win. And now I can go in, and now I've completed the challenge. So now I'm wondering if the goal area and those transparent walls have anything to do with these goal spots, these parts, and it does not. So these goal parts are just decorative. So it looks like there's no way to change the size of the goal area. Except you could have multiple goal areas, maybe have them partially stacked on top of each other. Now I'm curious about the build area. I know that there's a connection in the center of it. I'm wondering if it accepts inputs. I know it accepts outputs, and it doesn't look like it accepts inputs. Okay. What happens if I take the connection of the build area and connect it to the connection of the goal area? What happens then? First, let me just see if I can walk in here and if anything happens. No, nothing happens. Okay, now I've got my vehicle. I've exited the build area. The goal area lights have gone off, and nothing. I'm not able to win here. So that's not something you want to do. So in my last video, I showed that things that are left loose during the build, when you go into the test during the build phase, you can manipulate those items, but once you have started the clock going, you can't manipulate those items anymore if they were loose at the very beginning of the challenge. I want to do an experiment with creating a loose object, something that was attached to the ground but then becomes unattached. Here I'm in the building phase of the challenge, and the gun goes off, but it doesn't destroy the cardboard. But once I cross that border and the clock is ticking, now I can create the loose object, but I can't interact with it. So that's a little disappointing. Let me put some other loose objects in the build area. I'll stick a tire in here, a pot, and I've already got a loose engine. So I can delete the pot, it goes into my inventory. I can't do anything with the tire. That's interesting. I wonder why I can't delete the tire. Okay, but I can put my lift down, I can put the engine back that I deleted, and the pot I can attach to the engine. Okay. What if I spawn a ball? I know I can hit that with my hammer. What if I then go in the chest and exchange this lift for the other lift that I had during the build mode? Nope, I cannot pick up the ball. Well, that makes sense, because then you'd be able to cheat if you could do that. Okay, now I'm building the challenge. I'm going to put a chest inside of a chest. Alright, I get into test mode. I am got the clock is ticking. I'm taking the chest out, taking some pieces out. I also am going to need the lift. So let me grab the lift from the chest. I'll put the chest on the lift. Now I'll stick something in the chest. And now I'm going to delete the chest. So the chest is back in my inventory, but I don't see the blocks that I put in the chest back in my inventory. What if I stick the chest back out here and take a look inside? Are the blocks still in there? Nope, they're just gone. They've been deleted. So this is a good way to delete your stuff. Now I know that a driver's seat crossing this line starts the challenge going. What happens with the passenger seat and toilets? Nope. Nope. And nope. So your seat's gotta have a steering wheel. What got me started with these experiments is I saw Scrapman playing the Corridors challenge, and it has some interesting things going on here. First, there's just the fact that you walk instead of having a vehicle, and you're able to get a win just by walking. So how is that possible? And the other question I had was, how are we able to manipulate these objects that are sitting here loose? We're able to attach them to each other, we're able to change the engine, and I think the answer is that we are still in the build area. So there must be a build platform beneath us that we can't see. So I'm curious what happens if we take one build area and overlap it with another build area and then drive off the first build area. What happens? Will the challenge start or not? And it looks like the challenge does start, so it doesn't really matter if you overlap. What happens if you stick the starter area on top of the goal area? We'll drive off the start area into the goal area, and we win. Now getting back to that question of the corridors and how the participant is able to just walk from one place to another and achieve a win, how is that possible? My original theory, which is wrong, is that there was a loose seat being pushed by a piston from the start area to the goal area, and then you enter the goal area and you win. A quick side note, putting a large piston on top of a large piston is not a good idea. It's very glitchy. But it turns out there's this thing called a starter block, and if that block has a positive input, then the challenge starts. Thank you to Shrew2 and Brent Batch for pointing out this block to me. And now you don't need a vehicle at all, you can just walk right into the goal area and you win. Now we know if we have a loose object in the build area, we can interact with that object. But how high up does the building area extend? So I stuck some loose engines at various heights to see how high I could continue to interact with the engines, and it turns out the answer appears to be 32 blocks above the build area is where you can build and interact with things. Now I did notice that these invisible walls appear to be not uniform, they're not square, but my testing shows that this is just cosmetic. It's still a 32 block height all around the build area. I also wondered if there was any build area underneath the build platform where you could build things, and it turns out that's not the case. I'm trying to interact with loose objects underneath the build platform and nothing's happening. So to sort of replicate what's happening with the corridors build, I'm going to create multiple build areas. I'll put up a wall. Now create a platform so that the player doesn't know they're over a build area. Now place some loose objects on the platform. And now in test mode I'm able to walk around and interact with parts. But I don't want the trigger for the starting block over here because then that defeats the purpose of having the loose parts. I can't interact with them now. So I need a trigger at the end, and I tried doing this sensor, but then I forgot that this sensor only works once the challenge has actually started. So now I've just got a regular sensor, and I'm going to switch that from button mode to switch mode, and then I'll connect that to my starter block. So now when I get into test mode, I can walk around, interact with the parts, I cross the sensor, the challenge starts, and I walk in and win. So that's how the quarter challenge worked. Except I did notice that it was quiet when we won the quarter challenge, so if I just delete some of these celebration parts, now when we walk into the goal area we just get a very quiet win. Now one thing to notice here is that I have two goal areas, and you can win the challenge by entering either goal area, so that might be good to know. You could possibly have two different possible destinations for the player to get to in order to win the challenge. Now I wondered if you could set the starter area or the goal area sideways or upside down, and the answer is yes to all of that. Here I'm walking out of an upside down build area and walking into an upside down goal area and getting a win. Now I wondered about putting a player start upside down. So it appears the player is stuck, like my head is stuck to the player start until I hit WASD, and now I'm just falling because I didn't put anything underneath me. So let me build a platform, but let me try obstructing the player start area, see what happens. Whoa, I'm really glitchy. Holy cow. Okay, let me stop the test, and what the heck? Okay, let me get back up. Ooh, I can't get back up. Oh, that is weird. I am completely under the map and I can't get back up. But I can build down here, so that's interesting. So what happens if I put a player start here? Let's try this. Wait, why am I way up here? That is so strange. Okay, let me do WASD, and there, I can fall down onto the platform. Okay, what is going on over here? That is so odd. Alright, let me see if I can build on this. Oh, I went right through it. It's like a visual, but it doesn't actually have any substance to it. Very strange. I'm going to see if I can get up to the top. I've created a chest with some blocks and a seat and a lift. Okay, I'll build off the lift, some wood, we'll put a seat up there, create a platform off here, build a little higher, then we'll take the seat off from behind me and put it back on up here. And we'll just repeat that process again. And here we go, I've made it to the original platform, but I am still in test mode. I'm not sure how I'm going to get back up here in regular build mode. Does it matter if I actually start the challenge and then complete it? I don't know why that would matter. No, let me just stop the test and see what happens. Whoa! Hey, I'm above everything. That's nice. I don't know how I managed that, but I'm glad to be up above the floor. So one last thing, I have spawned this start platform. I have not welded it to anything. It's just sitting on the floor. I'm going to save and test and see what happens. And I'm bouncing. Why am I bouncing? I just fell through the floor and I am falling. And I am continuing to fall. How odd. Well, this seems like a good place to wrap up the video. I hope you've learned some things that'll help you in building your own challenges, and I encourage you to check out my other experiments video. Let me know about any discoveries you might have come up with from challenge builder mode, and also let me know if you've got a challenge you'd like me to check out. So that's going to do it for today. If you've liked what you've seen, please like and consider subscribing to my channel. Give me some comments below. It really helps my channel. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Steve's Makerspace.